Hey guys, the meeting will start in about 5. Just socialize amongst yourselves. I'll be right back.
I went to Under Armour this weekend because I really need some new clothes, I need some new shoes, and actually I started looking at the clothes first, and when I noticed is that the men's have polos, the boys have polos, the women don't have polos. So like, what if I want to be fancy and work out? So I don't have those options anymore. And then I started looking at the
Are you tired of struggling to find the perfect running shoe? For years, the shoe industry has told us that men and women need different shoes. But why should our feet be limited by gender stereotypes? Is Under Armour missing the mark by prioritizing gender over functionality?
So good morning everyone. So as you know, Stephanie came to us and she pointed out, we see here we have 6%, which just means we have a whole lot of opportunity for growth, right? So we as a marketing team did some marketing research. And for that, we will start off with our literature review, and we have 2 experts for you.
Hello, I'm Dr. Nal, a very true and real podiatrist with a special interest in sports medicine and injury prevention. Today I'll be discussing the importance of choosing the right running shoes, specifically focusing on why men and women need different shoes to prevent injuries. As a healthcare professional, my goal is to help you make informed decisions about your footwear to keep you running safely and comfortably. First and foremost, men and women have different foot structures, and these differences play a significant role in how our feet function during running. Some key and this means that shoes designed for women generally have a more snug fit to accommodate if not properly addressed. To prevent these injuries, it's crucial to choose running shoes designed for one's sex. Consulting with a podiatrist or a trained shoe specialist can help ensure a safe and enjoyable running experience. It's like I always say, I'm here to heal you, one step at a time.
Some in the medical community, including my colleagues, argue that gendered running shoes are vital for the health and safety of runners. However, the community of running experts that I belong to, we beg to differ. When consumers enter a market to purchase new running shoes, they're navigating a bloated market of brands, functions, colors, and styles, to name only a few. While the medical community recommends starting with the gendered category the consumer belongs to, the running expert community recommends identifying the stability, comfort, and performance that works for the individual consumer. What works for the runner, regardless of gender, is the most important consideration when purchasing running shoes. That's what gets your best foot forward.
Here is just that intro part
Running in my dream. Doesn't that make it a
Oh, hey, Sam.
Hey!
How's it going?
Hey Cam!
How are you?
Oh good, how are you?
Good, good. I was just out for a run. I've been thinking a lot about here we are, Under Armour, trying to sell more shoes. I just feel like there's men's shoes and there's women's shoes. I don't understand what the big problem is.
Well Cam, shoes aren't just shoes anymore. So we have come a long way since 40,000 years ago, a pair of shoes were created. But the purpose is actually still the same. They provide stability and provide protection for our feet. So today's shoes are an integral part of culture. Beyond their cultural significance, shoes convey the idea about the wearer's national identity, politics, class, race, and social standing. So based on questionnaires and observations and interviews, it's clear that to most Americans, their footwear is an extension of the expression of themselves. Shoes affect our perception of others and a perception of ourselves. So in a recent survey we conducted, about 40% of US consumers said that they had purchased clothing or footwear outside of their gender identity. And so they did that for reasons for size, fit, comfort, and price. So as the active and comfort movement has gained momentum over the past years, there's a growing trend towards launching gender-neutral items. According to UCLA's Williams Institute, about 1.2 million people in the United States identify as non-binary. And even the younger generation, Gen Z, around 61% says that brands should ensure that the style is no longer gendered. So For footwear specifically, the concept of unisex footwear has been around for a while, and now other major athletic footwears like Nike, Adidas, Puma, they're also exploring launching specifically marketed as gender neutral. So the aim of our research study is to understand current customer attitudes towards a functionality-based running shoe rather than gender-based. We want to explore if marketing products as long-distance shoes or trail shoes instead of women's running shoes and men's running shoes would lead to more sales and customer satisfaction. In today's modern age, changing social perceptions can take precedence over medical recommendations in the mind of consumers and leave options to explore function-based product lines that capture new consumers. So functionality is nothing to sneaker about.
Hey Cam!
Joe!
How you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you. You know, I just bumped into Sam over there. We were talking about running shoes. And it got me thinking, like, if we're trying to come up with this market that hasn't been touched yet, how do we know what kind of runners are we looking for? There's all kinds of experience levels out there.
Funny you should mention that, because I've actually done some research on that recently, so I think I can help with that. So the research I just completed looked at who was actually running in the United States, and found some interesting results. Did you know that there are over 50 million runners in the country now? And COVID-19 boosted those numbers of new runners by almost 13%. According to a 2021 Nielsen study, 74% of those reported that it was their health and general well-being is the reason that influenced their decision to run. Another factor is the trend of businesses going more casual for the workday, as well as work from home, has led people to buy shoes and clothing that's comfortable versus necessarily stylish or professional, going more casual. As part of DeSalvo's 2018 United States Market Survey, athletic shoes were the most purchased footwear item in the last 12 months at 65%, beating out all other footwear, with 68% of men and 53% of women purchasing at least one pair in the last year. Looking closer into the demographics, it's evenly split between men and women at 53 and 47% respectively. Younger people aged 25 to 34 are definitely the most passionate and enthusiastic about running. And then the number really drops out for those under 20 and over 44. When deciding which shoe to purchase, comfort ranks the highest factor, followed by durability, ease of putting on and taking it off, and then style, fashion, and brand appeal. Within these factors, women value style more than men, while men prioritize brand name. When it comes to age, Mintel's 2012 Consumer Research Survey identified that comfort is still the main factor, especially for older people, and that younger age brackets place much higher weight on style, but also the ability for footwear to have more than one purpose, and customization was also important to almost 40% of those aged 34 and under. Finally, the main reason runners buy new footwear is need. 60% buying a pair to replace an existing pair, 29% for a specific activity, and 27% for a specific occasion.
Genderless.
I hear you, Cam. Under Armour is pounding the pavement to catch up from less than 6% market share in this category. And our competitors, especially Brooks, are already launching variations of functional or gender-neutral running shoe lines. So we need to do something to catch up. So what do you think? Does this help?
Joe, you've given me a lot to think about. This is really where the rubber meets the road. Oh, it's so good to see you. What a beautiful day. You know, I just bumped into Joe, and I was talking about this possibility for a whole segment that we might be missing, but how do we know?
Well, Cam, let's talk research design. Well, the purpose of this research is to investigate the potential market for gender-neutral functional running shoe for Under Armour. We will explore the current market for running shoes, consumer preference and needs, and the possibility of introducing a new genderless product. And as Joe talked to you earlier, our target population is recreational runners in the United States aged between 18 to 44 years old who run between 6 and 30 miles per week. And for this study, we will use scripted quantitative research to gather insights from existing Under Armour Rewards members, as well as in-store and online patrons. And to gather data, we will use a Qualtrics survey. We will use formal and structured questions with predetermined response options to learn more about the consumer's purchasing habits, reasons for buying, and brand preferences, to name a few. And according to Qualtrics, Typical response rates for customer satisfaction surveys range from 20 to 30% or greater. So for this research study, we're aiming to get a response rate of at least 25% or greater.
Wow! But how are we going to do that?
Well, Cam, I'm glad you asked. But
You're welcome.
to help us reach this goal, we will be offering a 10% off coupon towards future purchase for all respondents who successfully complete the Qualtrics survey.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and to get our sample population, we're going to use random sampling method and only target our current Under Armour customers for this study because doing a census is very practical due to the large number of people in our target market. Not to mention, sampling is more reasonable, less time consuming, and less costly approach to answering our research questions.
Yeah, I think I did hear that somewhere.
Yeah, and for this, we'll be using two approaches to get our list of respondents. To start, in-store and online purchases will be compiled daily and will be filtered by Under Armour Rewards members ages 18 to 44. Those who meet our criteria will randomly be selected to receive an email with a link to the survey after 48 hours of their purchase. And as far as existing rewards members, they'll be randomized and get an email with a link to the survey. The link will only be active for 1 week, which should allow them enough time to complete it. And our collection period will be a total of 8 weeks. So hopefully we meet our target response rate.
So, what do we hope to gain from this?
Well, after we gather and analyze our data, we're hoping that this research provides valuable insights into the potential market of genderless functional running shoe for Under Armour.
Yeah. So what would that survey look like, do you think?
Well, actually, Elizabeth will be covering that. And as a matter of fact, I think there she is over there.
Oh, hey, Dan.
Elizabeth!
How's it going, buddy?
Oh, great! Elizabeth, it's so good to see you. What great form. That was really impressive.
Yeah, but I should put my best foot forward, so.
Yeah, I know how that feels. You know, I was just talking to Joe a second ago, trying to figure out how we can capture this market for this function first shoe. Dixie was saying something about creating a survey. Where would we even start with something like that?
Yeah, definitely. So we'll start, put a statement together about what the survey hopes to accomplish, get their consent to participate, make sure they meet the age requirement, the target demographics. I think I heard you guys 18 to 44 years old, recreational runners.
That's exactly what
like
Joe
that.
said.
Yep, we'll definitely have some questions in there to make sure they meet that target demographic. Then we'll move on into some basics on purchase history. I heard Joe say earlier that Under Armour current has a low market share.
Yeah, we're in 6%.
6%.
Right down there with Brooks.
Yeah, so
and
we
Brooks has already come up with a gender neutral line.
See, that's something we definitely need to gauge our current consumers' purchasing behavior on. So let's start off with a question about what shoes they've purchased before, what brands, something nominal where they can check all that apply. And we'll definitely alphabetize that to make sure that there's no chance for bias in that question, just to get an idea of where we're currently at. And then going from there, maybe looking at why people buy shoes. Is that something that might be helpful for you guys?
I think so, yeah. Joe was
Yeah.
even talking about that a few seconds ago.
Potential attributes, looking at maybe fit, colors, using a scale to see how each participant may rank those, 1 to 5, something simple like that. And then I'm thinking we should follow that question up with an ordinal question. So now that you've rated each individual attribute, tell us what's most important out of all of those. Using Qualtrics has this really nice feature for drag and drop. That means they can actually drag the attributes they rate the highest up to the top. Give us a nice list there for that. Does that sound kind of like what you're starting to look for?
Yeah, so that way we would know if that consumer is looking for style, or if they're looking for color, or if they're looking for right fit.
Exactly, and so that's going to be those current purchasing behaviors, attributes they're looking for that might be useful for research when developing that genderless shoe. Make sure we're hitting the highlights. So going on from there, it sounds like you guys might want to engage in participants' willingness to buy a genderless item. So I'd say let's start with something neutral, like have you purchased a gender item outside of how you identify? Maybe say, provide an example, like do you identify as a woman and have bought a men's shirt? Just making sure it's clear that it can be any item before, just to see their past history. That might indicate their future willingness to buy a gender item.
Good point. It's a good point.
And then as you mentioned that Brooks already has a unisex line, so does Under Armour, I heard, but it's not very well known. So I think we should throw in a question out there as if a participant has already purchased a unisex shoe, maybe include something as if they're unaware. That way we'll know how many people are already aware of the lines, and that might be something to think about for promotion later on down the line.
So many things you can learn from a survey.
Absolutely. And then I think the biggest question you guys might be looking to ask is, what is your willingness to buy a genderless functional shoe? The most important question right there. You can use, say, a scale of 1 to 10, maybe model it after the Net Promoter Score. Since this is a product that's not developed yet, let's ask them, what would your willingness be to purchase a genderless functional-based shoe? Provide a couple examples so they know exactly what we're talking about. Functional-based as in designed for the trails, designed for stability, and genderless in a sense as there's no men's or women's options. There's a sizing scale that we use, narrow fit, wide fit. That way they're sure to get that fit that works best for them without being limited by selecting from one gender, or maybe a unisex shoe that just doesn't have the right options for them.
That way they can just walk into a store, see running, see training, see weightlifting, and pick from what's there.
Exactly. And I think for this one we should use that scale of 1 to 10 because it gives a better idea of their willingness. Rather than a scale of 1 to 5 like before, that might say, I'm a 3 out of 5, but I'd actually be like an 8 out of 10. That gives a little bit more specifics on, I think, what you're looking for that. And then lastly, I really think we should get some demographics in there. Look a little bit more into your consumers' running habits. What makes them run, how often, what types. That could be something that influences their purchasing behavior. Are you a trail runner? So we could ask something like, what type of running activities do you particularly partake in? Trail running, road running, racing, obstacle course. Kind of get everything out there so we know what our demographic is currently participating in, meaning that they might select shoes based off of those functions. And then lastly, typical demographic questions, but at the last, specifically so that they don't influence the answers for the bulk of the survey. We want to make sure they're answering honestly so that we get the best results. So we'll ask, what is your current gender identity? Give them some options. Please input your age. That way we get their specific ages. Just a way for us to close it all together. But I know that's a lot of information for you, a lot of survey words. Is there any questions, anything making sense to you yet?
Yeah, you've got me really excited about this. I need to come up with a way to tie it all together. Is that Savannah?
Cam! It's me! It's Savannah! Do you see me? Hey, Cam! Joey, I'll come to you! Cam! It's me! It's Savannah!
Hey, Savannah. So glad I saw you. Sorry for interrupting your workout. Looks like you were really getting it in up there. I was just talking to Elizabeth, and I'm getting really excited about this marketing research project. But here's the problem. I don't really know what the next step is.
Hey, Cam, question for you.
Yeah.
Why am I working out in your dream, and why do I have a sandbag?
That's a good question.
Well, if you want, I could tell you about everything.
Yeah, would you please?
So based off our review, we noticed that attitudes towards gender and fashion are becoming increasingly fluid.
How fluid?
So fluid. Oof. While shoe companies have adapted to the changing market, they still miss potential segments due to gender-based and limited unisex shoe lines. And through this all, we've been aiming to understand current consumer attitudes towards functionally based running shoes, designed specifically for activities. Websites and stores typically sort by gender first, limiting customer choices. Instead, shoes should be marketed by function, such as long distance, trail running shoes, with customizable options for all. With more companies entering the market, brands must meet new customer expectations and capture new customers by exploring function-based product lines.
So much to think about.
I know. Well, if you don't mind, I gotta tie these laces together.
Just choose anymore.
Younger people aged 25 to 32 are definitely the most passionate.
I think.
Okay, shoes aren't just choose anymore.
I've got it!
Run. 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 Run.
By designing a line of running shoes that are focused more on build, structure, functionality, style, even colors that are more and more what our consumers enjoy, we'll get a foot in the door and be able to tap this market that is currently underserved. And while yes, both we and our competitors have lines of gender-neutral shoes, we want to toe the line and take that a step further and reach our consumers' desires, which are for a shoe that fits, feels good, and will help them accomplish their goals. While traditional demographics, such as gender, still play a role, let's follow the footprints. There are bound to be customers who prioritize the shoe's functionality features over gender-specific designs. Our survey will highlight the need for Under Armour to focus on the functional benefits of our running shoes, to shift away from gender designs and marketing strategies. This is in line with Under Armour's motto of using sports to unite, inspire, and change the world, as it promotes inclusivity and accessibility for all athletes. We can't get cold feet. We recommend further research to explore the specific functional features that customers prioritize when buying running shoes. It's sure to be a shoe-in.
Run.